Hello, I'm Angela Princewill, and today I want to talk to you about why it's important for you to talk to a lawyer before you even tell your spouse about separating. Starting point, marriage is not just this, huge celebration and decision to just live together in love happily ever after or until things fail. It comes with serious legal obligations. And so when you have that, fight that inevitably happens in every relationship, or when you begin to think that you want to call it quits, don't be impulsive. I strongly suggest that you talk to a lawyer even before you express that desire to the other party. And here's why it's important. I'm going to talk about this on four of the aspects. I'm actually even going to leave out the children and a lot of other areas that could come up or that would be at play when we're dealing with the separation and kind of untangling things. And I'm just going to focus it on your equalization obligations, trust claims, and trust claims apply for both married and common law spouses, because common law spouses are not entitled to equalization because that's something for married persons. And I would explain that actually in the simplest sense, it's just both. They both deal with division of property. So how about we talk about division of property, child support and if they're kids, and spousal support, and some of the obligations that could arise there, and why it's important for you to go into that next step of deciding to be separated, go into it informed. And this has come as a result of, several years of seeing people kind of shocked when they start the process. So they, decide for emotional reasons that they don't want to be in the relationship anymore. And it's always stunning to them when they find out the legal obligations that exist. So we're not by any chance advocating that you remain in a bad relationship if that's not where you want to be. But there's nothing wrong with going with your emotions if you feel like this is not the relationship for you anymore. But I'm a strong believer in making every decision being informed, right? So make every decision from a position of knowledge, and that includes your separation. I mean, would obviously not advise just getting married blindly, even though people have done that and some have lived, many, many happy years together. But you know what? It's always good to know what you're getting into. And in this case, what you're getting out of or how you're going to be getting out of it. Anyway, I don't know if that works, but let's get down to it. So if you're married and you're thinking about separating from your partner, you have to think about how that would affect, property division. So firstly, if you're going to be equalizing your assets, that's something that you need to understand. Depending on if you're married, depending on the circumstances, the length of your marriage, and a few other factors, if you're able to meet this really high threshold, you might be able to not give an equal share. But the misconception that somehow because the properties are all in your name, you don't get to share it with the other party cannot be further from the truth. Some people even are under the misconception that because they brought assets into the marriage, that they could just get to walk out of the relationship with that, and they didn't build it with the other person. The other person did not even contribute to any of it, was not encouraging, whatever the situation may be. If you're married, those factors do not matter as much as you think they do. In some very few exceptional cases, it would matter. But as I said, it's a very high threshold. So you need to talk to someone before you go in thinking you're going to come out of this relationship with all of your assets intact. Chances are you're not going to. Chances are, to a higher or lesser degree, there will be some division, and you just want to find out how bad things could be. You know what? It may even ultimately involve you having to talk to tax professionals, right? If you have investment properties, are there going to be capital gains concerns that we need to think about because things need to be liquidated, and things like that. If things are being, if property is being transferred to you, how would that be treated from a tax perspective? Are there tax efficient ways of doing these things? Again, the starting point is to speak to your family law lawyers. And if any other, factors come into play, then obviously we will advise you on that. And still on the property division part of things is for non-married spouses. The number of times that non-married people think that, well, we were never married, so I had all these assets, and I get to walk away with it because I was not married. The number of times people think that is mind-boggling. And again, it's one of those things where you need to talk to a lawyer so that you can come, you could be prepared. Firstly, it doesn't matter that you acquired all of these assets on your own during the relationship without the other party's support. And a lot of times when people are saying they did not get the support of the other party, they actually mean the other party didn't physically contribute to a particular asset. So for example, a home, well, they did not contribute to the down payment, for example. So the other party that's on title thinks, well, they get to keep it, and that's that. That's not necessarily the case. And this could apply to any number of assets. And usually the test, with the trust claim is, have they, if you walk away from the relationship with all of these assets, would you be unjustly enriched? And that's kind of what's at the root of all of that. Now, that's an oversimplification. Obviously, I do have other posts where I've explained trust claims in more detail, and I will be doing more in the future. But at this point, I want married people to bear in mind is the fact that you're not married doesn't mean as much as you think. Don't imagine that you would not have to divide your assets just because you did not take that step of getting married to someone. So back to what we said at the beginning, talk to a lawyer first, and let's see how we can help you. If there are children, child support. Another thing many people don't think about is, well, they have this conversation with their partner. They agree that, okay, we're going to go our separate ways. We have, it's going to pick 2 kids, and these 2 kids would share residence between both places to even make things better. They'll be at my house one week and they'll be at the other house the other week. And so because we're sharing the children equal amount of times, they're making $40,000. I'm making $100,000, but we're sharing the children equally, so I don't have to pay child support. That is not correct. That is not correct. And why that bothers, or I shouldn't say bothers me in that sense, it's just why that's something I want to really get across, is the fact that many times I have clients coming to me even years after the separation. In some cases, they've even signed kitchen table agreements only to find out that the other person is coming after them for retroactive child support. And that means they're going back several years and essentially saying, you should have been paying me maybe $500 a month and you didn't, and now I want it all. So there's that, because when people are separated and they have the children equal amounts of time, it doesn't eliminate the child support obligation. It just means that a set-off amount may be applicable under the circumstances. If you don't talk to a lawyer, you may not recognize that. And, so that's why it's important. And also another factor that people don't take into consideration is how spousal support plays into the whole picture. And that's, the last area I'm going to touch on. First, some people don't realize that they are entitled to spousal support. They feel that because they've always had a job throughout the relationship, and, the other side also probably strongly feels the same, that, they've had a job and the other party's had a job. So we never intermingled our finances. And so there's no spousal support obligation there. That's not correct. In some cases, you may find people using the online support calculators, and they might see a number that's a 0 range for spousal support, and they automatically think that there's no entitlement to spousal support. So again, entitlement to spousal support and ability to pay spousal support, 2 different things, and the intersection with child support and how that could play out, another thing, because sometimes, again, if there's a set-off amount for child support, it might affect spousal support. It might affect ability to pay spousal support, and just it intersects in that way. Child support takes priority, but there might be an inability to pay spousal support, and it might just be for a limited time, right? If there's a change in circumstances where, say, child support's no longer payable, that person may still be entitled to spousal support. And now that you have the ability to pay, that obligation may now exist. So I bring this all just so that people just get informed. Talk to your lawyer first. Don't just blindly go, have a conversation without understanding your rights. And even worse, please don't go signing any agreement between yourselves without getting independent legal advice. It's all well and good when both parties are in agreement, and it's fine. But all it takes is one person to change their mind, and now you could be, responsible for thousands of dollars in arrears that you did not expect because you didn't plan your affairs in that way, and you thought you didn't have that obligation. So please make sure to talk to a lawyer first. We're always here at AP Lawyers. We're always here, ready, able, and willing to talk to you, to help you understand your rights, to even help guide you through the process of having that initial conversation about separating. But no matter what, you would always leave your consultations with us knowing your rights, knowing where you stand in the process, and so you're not walking in blind and you're not making an uninformed decision. So anyway, I hope I have convinced you on that it's important to talk to a lawyer before you broach the subject of separating, because with separation comes huge legal consequences in a lot of cases, and we want to make sure that you're steering things in the right direction. And that's it for now. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye for now.